What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you again for listening, my friends. Listen, guys, I want to continue to talk about this Gina Carano thing. Of course, the world, the Star Wars world, and you see it on all these news outlets now, too. We're all still reeling from the news that Gina Carano was fired from The Mandalorian. At first we were wondering if it were true and everything, but, it just seems like this is what it is. And, I just wanted to take some time to continue to talk about this because, as this is the channel that brought you slogans such as "It's bigger than Star Wars" and "Not racist, something worse." All right, and you see these things really kind of converging here. The concepts that I was talking about because Disney continues to show what their true agenda is if you really look at it, because a lot of people have pointed out, of course, Gina Carano, she's a strong woman, she's a capable woman. And the funny thing about it too, as far as her image is concerned in The Mandalorian, she is probably one of the only um, female heroes that's out there now today who's actually believable in her role. In real life, she's disciplined. She's trained her body, and clearly she's trained her mind. And that has really resonated with the fans. It's really helped to make her character more credible. This is probably the best thing that Disney Star Wars has had going in a very, very long time. All of the criticisms against Rey and, all that stuff, that comes from just a spirit of just, you can't really believe her doing the things that she's doing. You see a lot of female characters these days, action heroes, and it's a bunch of trick photography that shows them being able to do all these things, and that you don't really believe for a second that they can do it. You know what I mean? But with Gina Carano, it's really not like that. She's a gold mine as far as that's concerned because she totally sells what she's doing. So you would think that Disney, a company that prides itself, as being a supporter of women's rights and all of this stuff and valuing women and body positivity and all that stuff, you would think that Gina Carano would be their poster child. But no, no, because as many have pointed out, unfortunately, she doesn't just go with the flow. She actually has her own independent, free thinking mind. And that would be the only problem that they seem to have with her. So like I said, it really exposes where they're coming from, that they would allow her to be targeted and then to take her out the way that they have. So I want to comment on this article that I saw on Giant Freaking Robot because I want to make a couple of, observations about this. All right. And what it is if you read the headline, it says, Gina Carano has been fired from Star Wars. We knew that part. And blacklisted from Hollywood. Not only has she been fired from Star Wars, but she's been blacklisted from Hollywood. Very, very interesting. All right, so let me read in part what this says here. All right, it says the decision to fire Gina Carano comes after she was criticized for reposting a picture and a caption on her Instagram account that many viewed as being anti-Semitic. Kind of like Pedro Pascal, but going on. The hashtag Fire Gina Carano was trending on Twitter for hours, and it was not the first time that occurred over the last year. Yeah, it seemed like it was like everybody's hashtagging for the weekend. Every weekend they came out, hashtag Fire Gina Carano, and it seems to have finally been too much for Disney to ignore. And then they have somebody saying, did she just compare the Holocaust to being a Republican? I guess that's somebody's Twitter tweet. And no, she didn't compare the Holocaust to being a Republican. What she was doing was talking about the conditions that were set before the Holocaust, leading up to the Holocaust. Learning from history and remembering it lest we forget. That seems to be what the real objection is, that she actually pointed out in some forgotten history. Like, it didn't just come out of nowhere. People just act like something just happened. And, as far as the Holocaust is concerned and all that stuff, it just happened. No, there were different factors, political factors that led up to what happened. And I think it's very interesting that we live in this era now where the idea is that you can somehow selectively remember history. Otherwise, people can turn your own words against you. You know, I remember years ago, when I first started doing videos, one of my very first videos, I was talking about how I'm not sure about the wisdom of tearing down statues in America, and burning and outlawing flags. When I saw them tearing down statues of, Confederate soldiers and stuff, everybody, it seemed like, it's funny to say it was a no-brainer because everybody with no brain, of course, started cheering it automatically. Yeah, tear it down. That's a way to stick it to those white guys and all that stuff. But actually, it's American history. You know what I'm saying? It's a cautionary tale for a lot of us who don't believe in a certain ideology, So my thing was, it's interesting that you didn't want to preserve it in a museum. You didn't want to preserve it in history books. You just wanted to tear it down. You wanted to destroy it. You took away the Dukes of Hazzard, which I love so much, that old TV show. Hot Pursuit Flash. The Dukes of Hazzard wasn't hurting anybody. Excuse me. But people wanted it gone. So I did a video talking about that, how I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's cool to be removing things, and then of course it went from there to kneeling, for the national anthem. And I remember telling, my family at the time, which is why I'm off Facebook now, and Gina Carano she's not wrong about that. Family will turn against you if you think differently. I remember telling family at the time that it's not cool because once they get through taking away the things that you disagree with and you cheer for it, it will give them the right to take away the things that you do agree with, and you'll be surprised at how much you contributed to your own censorship, and your own destruction of values, so anyway, it's interesting, it's very interesting. And let me see what else it says here. It says, Gina Carano, wait, let me go down a little bit here. Okay, so they go on to speculate. It is also going to be interesting to see if this firing ends up resonating through the majority of the Hollywood system. In short, could Disney cutting ties with Gina Carano effectively make her persona non grata in mainstream entertainment? Yeah, I would imagine so. Disney pretty much owns everything at this point, which was kind of dangerous when it was happening. They started buying up everything, and I was like, this ain't cool, man. This ain't even America. You shouldn't be like these monopolies where, there's no competition. And of course, when people do things when there's no competition and there's no place else to go, then, what is going to check them with the things that they want to do? Where else are they going to go? They'll come crawling back here. I don't even know if boycotting Disney is going to be effective if Disney fucking owns everything, or is, either partnership with everything. I mean, sooner or later, you're going to have to put money in Disney's pocket, whether you like it or not. Even the ones who think they're smarter than everybody else. I mean, it just is what it is. So it says, in short, could Disney cutting ties with Gina Carano effectively make her persona non grata in mainstream entertainment? According to industry insider Daniel Rickman, the answer is a resounding yes. Wait a minute, there's a pop-up here for some reason. All right, I don't know why, but okay. It's a resounding yes. This firing is effectively blacklisting her from Hollywood. While this doesn't mean she won't be given some acting opportunities if she wants to pursue them, it is going to be nigh impossible for her to appear in any major film or television productions. All right, so what they're saying there is that she could be blacklisted. And it's very interesting, because I was thinking about that and I was like, wow, Gina Carano, she really finds herself in a bad situation. It's like what she said, is it really worth all of that? Is it really worth her not getting work at all, anywhere, anymore? It almost seems like she spoke the truth too well. She almost predicted her own fate because she's been demonized effectively. She's been blacklisted. And it's pretty interesting that she would say that because I was thinking to myself that the very word blacklisting, kind of harkens back to, kind of the black experience, not to turn this into race, but, I can't help but see the parallels here, where she was talking about neighbors turning against you for the wrong views or, stances and things like that. Of course, in the black community directly after slavery, once we were, given freedom, or those people who were enslaved were given freedom. Of course, I was never a slave, so I'm just saying that generation, when they did attempt to build their lives and everything, of course, that's where we had like the cross burnings and, you know, businesses were burned to the ground that were black businesses and everything. But those generations, they were able to push through, and there was a resurgence, in those communities and everything. And media, even back then, were full of devilish people, who made it their business, and not much has changed, to paint black people in a bad light. Where if there were crimes that were committed, of course they were highlighted on the front page and things like that, scaring people in other communities. So if black people did move into their communities, well, there were things such as white flight. I mean, these are unpleasant truths, but they're the truths nonetheless. Like I said, once again, it's about learning from the past. So what Gina Carano was talking about was the unpleasant past, and a warning that the past brings. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. A lot of people just want to shut it up. They want to put their head in the sand and pretend that somehow it didn't exist. It was just some crazy people who did what they did, and they don't see how people can be led into these things, can be conditioned to set the stage for things like this, in the environment. So like I said before, white flight, burning crosses, things like that. And of course that led to, lynching and all that, so there's a lot of unpleasant truth to what she was saying, so the blacklisting, even that, the title of it, blacklisting, and then of course you identify these people as black people, and it is what it is, man. Like I said, the only way to combat these things in our society that we hold dear, is to identify them and to learn from them. Gina Carano would be a hero in that way because she was courageous enough to risk it all. Now, of course, I did videos talking about the wisdom of doing it that way, especially on social media, where that the modern day lynch mob is waiting for you, which is what she was talking about. They will get you once you make yourself amplified that way, and that's kind of what's happened here, but there is the danger, there's the danger in doing it that way. And it is very unfortunate, but she wasn't wrong, and like I said, for Disney to target her the way that they did and not target a Pedro Pascal, like, he can make all of the comparisons to Nazi Germany that he wants to, as long as it's bashing a certain ideology, but she can't do it because she's right on the money. And that's what they want to have silenced, because they want to be able to continue on with what they're doing in their agenda. It's like you want to demonize those people, you want to use certain people. It's like now I think they're using black people. They need victims, they need victims to be able to push their narrative. So they want to be able to use black people if they can to further their agenda. It's not that they just love black people all of a sudden. No. They can use that victim narrative, and the last thing they want are voices like mine and, the Dark Council and, all of these people who are on YouTube these days who are saying, no, that's not how we feel, but they want that silenced. They don't want to amplify those voices. They look desperately to twist the words of people out here. They want desperately, to be able to blame angry, racist, middle-aged white men. Those are the voices they want to amplify, so they want to silence everybody else who might go against that. They want to silence the women. They want to silence the black people. They want to silence the gay people. They want to silence the trans people who might have something contrary to say to what their narrative is. It's not about fighting for these people's rights. Not at all. So of course, Gina Carano was right. She was right. If you have conservative views, which are simply views about value, if you value traditional family, if you have a certain faith that you want to teach in your home, if you want to think for yourself and not be dictated to, that it's time to wear 8 masks when you go outside and all that stuff, you will be targeted, and that's just what it is, so that's what this is really about. The blacklisting of Gina Carano is really the blacklisting of just about anyone who dares to speak against what it is that they're trying to do out here. So, those of us who do understand that and do know the truth, better speak about it while you still can. You know, they'll chase you off Parler, they'll chase you off Facebook, you know, they'll chase you off Twitter eventually, YouTube, YouTube, you know, all of the alternatives that we have out here. They're going out of their way to identify people. You know, whether you're a fandom menace, like I said, it's bigger than Star Wars, you know, all those people who want to disavow themselves from the fandom menace, so they'll chase you to the next thing, you know. It's really about your ideology, no matter what you call yourself. You would be in danger if you use this and you think for yourself, you know. So, once again, I stand with Gina Carano. You know, I love Cara Dune. And these are things we need to be thinking about in these days right here. Because, like I said, Disney is completely showing their hand. But it's not just them. You know, that's what's going on today. So, guys, be brave, you know, in your convictions. You know, you don't have to shout it from a mountaintop. You don't have to go running through the streets. None of that stuff. What they really fear is right up here in your mind. So be steady in that. All right, guys, that's it. The video is going on long as usual, so let me wrap this up. Nobody makes it this far anyway. All right, guys, thank you for listening. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe, and of course, get in the comment section, the most important part of all, and share your views and share your thoughts. It's still safe to do here for now, and I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.